Lucian, good morning. Good morning, RLT, and everyone out there in YouTube. Good morning, Doug. Um, Interesting day yesterday. A lot of chop, and looking at the markets right now, looking at the futures, we are pretty much flat. So I'm anticipating more of the same in terms of the movement in the market. Um, not surprising for a summer day in August. So anyway, we shall see. We do have looking at the futures here. Here's the S&P. Here's the NASDAQ here. You can see that we are just pretty much flat right now. We are hardly even moving. And we do have some support down here. We have on the NASDAQ, we have the 100 down here. So if we do trade down a little bit, you could expect a little bit of a bounce off of that. On the S&P, not only do we have the 100, but we have the upsloping 50 here as well. So definitely some support down below there. Yeah, rock. So Piton had a nice gap. I saw that, and I wanted to mention that there was a. Let me see what the I noticed that a minute ago. Yeah, so it's up 8%. So I haven't looked at the news yet, but we'll take a look at that. So in terms of the markets again, just looking like we're going to open flat. Yesterday was extremely choppy. It's like every time the market went up. Good morning, Tony. Every time the market went up, and then it sold off, and then it got bought up and sold off, and just back and forth all day long. I did attempt one trade and lost half an hour on it just because I got stopped out literally to the penny, and then it went right back up, and it's just kept doing it. I was looking at possibly getting back in, but it just kept chopping back and forth. So sometimes it's just better just to sit on your hands and do nothing. And this could be one of those days. I'm curious. Let's take a look. I'm going to let me expand the. Let me go into a different view here. Minimize this. All right. Okay, I do have some fibs drawn on here. Okay, and we're looking at, so here's the, just looking in the last year, here's the high, here's the low. We traded up into the, what would normally be that range that you would look for some type of retracement. So anywhere between the 38.2 and the 61.8. The NASDAQ pretty much the same look, right? So we traded up into that. And since we were in a downtrend, you would expect that if you retraced into that area, you would then get the pullback. And we have on both the S&P and the NASDAQ. The S&P here did hit this is the 200 on the daily, hit that and then pulled back. Now it's looking at getting a little bit of support on the here off of the 100 and the daily 50. So the other thing to look at is, are we, when are we potentially going to bounce out of here and resume a bullish trend? So I have to keep an eye on certain levels, and what we can do is we can throw fibs on as well from this move up to here and just see what the retracement is that we got just coming down. So I'm curious, and forgive me because there's going to be a lot of lines here in a second. If I can get this to go, for some reason lately my mouse is working, but for some reason it's not. I don't know if it's tossed, but okay. So if we throw these fibs on, Okay. We still have some, again, I'm just looking at this move here, okay, from the low up until here when we started pulling back. So if we are going to look at a potential place, if we are going to start resuming a bullish trend or going bullish again, yeah, well, Lewis, we can look at SoFi. We'll take a look at that. Just remind me after we get through our 10 EMA things, okay? I'll try to, let me just actually write a note. But if for any reason I don't remember, just please don't get offended. Just remind me. But I am writing a note right now. Okay, so looking here, if we look at this micro trend inside the larger trend, we potentially could come back into this range between the 38.2 and then the 61.8. So the fact that this 50 and the 100 are here and they're right near this 38.2 retracement, I would not be surprised to get a bounce out of there. Doesn't mean it couldn't go back down into and retest down into this 50 or the 618, but that is just something to note, that just on this move here, coming off the lows, that we are getting into that 38.2 area here, and that the you do have these crossing moving averages here. So just be aware of that. Again, the NASDAQ has a similar look. Let me remove this line now. It's going to be confusing. So NASDAQ has a similar look. We don't have to go into that, but we will take a look at, you know what, let's go. Let me move let me go to a different share. Let's take a look at our 10 EMA. Move the chat pane around now. Okay. Okay. Tesla. So Tesla potentially gapping up. We traded up pre-market. So here's the high from yesterday. Maybe what I'll do is maybe I'll shift over to a different screen and we'll look at the daily as well as the pre-market. Let's do that. Okay. Tesla. So if we zoom in here on the pre-market, zoom in here on the daily. Okay. So here's yesterday's candle. Again, lots of lines here, but again, as I've always mentioned, the lines are, for me, are color coded. They all represent moving averages or the highs and lows from the previous day. So on this candle here, here's the high, here's the low. Those green lines carry over into my intraday. Now this is a 5-minute chart. We will change that when the market opens into a 3-minute chart, but we did break pre-market. We did get above yesterday's high, and then we pulled back, and right now we are trading back into this range, right? There was, I was reading the news, wasn't anything that was jumped out at me as, you know, a major catalyst. So anyway, it did push through yesterday's high yesterday. We are back in the range, but just keep in mind, we do have some moving averages here that are going to come into play. So if Tesla can hold this level here, this is the weekly 50. So we do have that support. You notice, I don't know if this is a true print, this long lower shadow here, but it basically bounced right off of that 50. So look for, the other thing is this red line here. So on the daily, you have the 10 EMA here on the daily, you have the weekly 50 here. Those will provide support. Now overhead, we do have, this is the daily 200 here. So we are kind of trading, we're sandwiched in between, some moving averages here. So that could build some pressure. Jason asks, anyone crazy like me looking to short Tesla off the 200? Yeah, Possibly you could short it off the 200, just do a blind short, put a stop up ahead, up above. Again, when it comes back down, just be aware of these levels down here, the weekly 50 and the daily 10 EMA. So I'm just reading the chat here. Lewis is talking about the 10 EMA as well. So you do have those levels here to keep an eye on. Okay. NVIDIA. Let's take a look at on the daily picture. Okay. So NVIDIA is holding this level. Okay. And if you just look left, you see some areas here where there was some previous resistance and support. Now it broke this candle, happened to break down through here, right? But then closed back up above this level. And yesterday and today, these are not tweezer bottoms, but they're pretty close. With you're talking $170 stock, and this was the low of this one was 169.70 and 169.66. So we're talking pennies apart. So there's definitely some strong support here. Earnings look like they're coming out after market today. So could just see just some sideways movement on NVIDIA, given that their earnings at the end of the day here. So people could just be waiting and to see what the earnings results are. So be patient with NVIDIA. If you look at NVIDIA here, right, we are trading right in the middle of yesterday's range. So here's all the pre-market action. Here's yesterday's action. We are trading right smack dab in the middle of. So I likely won't trade NVIDIA today unless there's some type of a catalyst that makes it start to move. But overall, I would expect NVIDIA just to kind of go sideways. I mean, if you look on the daily picture here, 2 days in a row, we basically had almost the same high and the same low. So we've got just some indecision here because, again, earnings are at the end of the day today. So I would be patient on NVIDIA. I likely won't look to trade it again unless there's some major catalyst, maybe a news event that comes out. But Amazon. Okay, if I zoom in here on Amazon. So yesterday, inside day, okay, again, just like NVIDIA, it is holding this level here. But we do have an inside day from yesterday, so watch for some type of direction. But currently we are trading, if I zoom in here, pre-market, currently we are trading inside yesterday's range. I don't know if this, let me zoom in here. I don't know if this long lower wick is accurate or not. At some point, looks like there was a print down here at 132.51. But again, I don't know if that is, if anybody has that on TradingView. I'm seeing it here. I'm using Thinkorswim. But either way, we are trading currently. We're just inside yesterday's range. We do have an inside candle. So I would be looking for this to break one way or the other. We do have some moving averages up above. So this is you have the 20 EMA on the daily. You have the 10 EMA on the daily. And then this thicker line here is the monthly 10 EMA. Monthly 10 EMA. So yeah, the width is 4. So that's a monthly. You have a monthly here, and here's a daily. We won't get up to those, but just be aware that if you do go bullish, you do have up in here, you do have the 10 EMA on the daily and the 10 EMA on the monthly up in here. But we do have this gap to close, right? So depending on if the market starts to move, maybe that could close that gap. But again, right now the market is completely flat. So we could be in for another choppy and slow trading day. Who was it yesterday? Somebody said they were bored. Rich, let me check. I'll go back to that and check that that wick. Somebody yesterday, I think, put it in the comments that they were bored. And again, it's never a good time to trade when you're bored, because you force things. And let's see. That time looks like it was 4 a.m. That wick right here. So it looks like it was, my guess is, if you look here, it was right when the pre-market opened. And there was just maybe something that, just an order that, had to be registered or something. So imagine that wick was probably something that's left over that just got filled. All right, we'll take a look at Into. I'll write that down as well. All right, AMD, similar look as NVIDIA and Amazon in terms of just holding this level. So this is right here. This is the daily 100, and we're sitting right on top of it. Yeah, that was yesterday's candle. Again, we did break slightly below the previous day, so this wasn't an inside candle. We did close below, but really didn't move. It's holding this level. Again, this is the daily 100. We do have the daily 50 down here. Again, like the others, we're kind of sandwiched between a lot of moving averages. You have the 20 here on the daily, the 10 here on the daily, and then you have a monthly 20 right here. Yeah, that's a monthly. So you have the monthly 20 right here. So again, like all the others, we're kind of sandwiched in between a lot of moving averages and not getting a lot of price movement, which just means there's just pressure building up. Okay, so Rich is saying that was not showing a wick, just probably just a print, something that was carried over. So so pre-market AMD, we are trading right around the lows from yesterday. Not the lows, but the close, I should say. The low was over here, but the close of yesterday, we're trading right in that range. So we are, again, inside on AMD. We'll have to look for some type of a break above or below yesterday, just to see the direction that it's going to go. Take a look at Delta. Okay, Delta. Maybe I did not adjust a couple of lines here. Let me see. I did not. Let me give me a second. Let's adjust these. High of Delta yesterday, 3302. Okay. Low, 3227. Adjust my pre-market levels. Did move those earlier. All right, so Delta, not a ton of, you can see, not a ton of pre-market volume. It did poke above yesterday's high briefly, came back down. So we are back into yesterday's range, trading right around the highs. We do have up here, here's the 20 EMA on the daily. Here's the 10 EMA on the daily. So you do have a couple of overhead moving averages here. You have the 50 on the daily down here. And again, not a ton of pre-market volume, but we did poke above briefly yesterday's high. Let's take a look at Apple, even though it's not on our 10 EMA list any longer, just to always take a look at Apple. But Apple, similar look to like AMD, right? It did break below. I mean, this is the same exact candle formation that we just looked at on AMD on the daily. Here's the 20 EMA on the daily here. You have the 10 EMA on the daily. I did not adjust my lines. Hang on. Let's go. High of this 168.71. That one's correct. This one, the low 166.65. All right. Looking at pre-market, again, we are just trading inside yesterday's candle. So as you can see, all of these that we're looking at right now, just inside candles right now. Again, we will see what happens with the market, but the in market, I'm looking over at the markets, they're still looking flat. So let's take a look at a couple of the others that people are throwing out. SoFi. Okay, so SoFi, we're getting a gap up. So you have we had a bullish indecision candle. So this is an interesting formation, right? So you have these two indecision candles here at the low. This was an inside candle here, right? So it's building pressure. Now we're gapping up. Let's see where are we price wise. So price wise right now we're at like 666. Interesting. Let's throw a number on here, 666. So we're somewhere right in this area here. Okay. So be aware you are gapping into, now there is a little bit of room to go here, but not much. I mean, we're talking 10 cents, right? So you're gapping right into a bunch of moving averages here. So here's the 100 on the daily. Here's the 10 EMA on the daily, the 20s here. So I'm trying to remember who threw that out there originally, but talking about a fade. So in terms of fading this, yeah, you can look to fade it. If it trades up a little bit, it could easily just hit those targets and then pull back. Crystal, yeah, I'll put 18T down as well. So yeah, you could look to fade it, but here's my thing, okay? The ATR, it's 50 cents, right? Doesn't meet my rules. It's not that I wouldn't trade something 50 if it really had a strong catalyst, but think about it. 50 cents of movement in a day, not a lot of room to move. Like, you're looking at this thing, if it makes that gap, right, it can easily already cover in the first couple candles, cover its daily ATR. So I don't know. I mean, again, if I'm going to get into a trade on something, I want to have the probabilities in my favor that it's actually going to move and move well. So it's up to you. SoFi, yeah. I mean, you could look to fade that. I think that was the question, but it is gapping those moving averages. Now, look, you have this moving average here and you have one here, and you're talking the difference between 675 and 645, right? So a 30 cents difference, right? With an ATR that's only 50 cents. So for me, I would pass. It doesn't meet my trading plan, but if you want to trade it, feel free. Let's take a look at Intuit. Interesting. Okay. Now this is something that I would likely be interested in. Let's see. We're trading at 478.98 right now. Nice gap. Okay, look. So when you think about the gaps and you look at this, so this is a where can you quickly, Kyle, where can you quickly see the ATR and TOS? So see up here, I have this it's just a coding thing that you can add to your screen. So Kyle, send me an email and I'll shoot you back the code for that. All right. But yeah, that's just something that you can import into Thinkorswim and it will give you the ATR. It's funny, Kyle. So yesterday I was actually going back and listening to some of our group mentorship recordings, the one that you were in. It was just funny going back and listening to it. And you were talking about in the mentorship group, you were talking about that, well, you're just really, you're not really trading yet. You're just watching the market. You are, just kind of trying to get a grasp of everything and that you're actually not taking live trades. And it's just interesting. That wasn't too long ago, right? What was that, 2 months ago, I think? And now you're actively trading, which is amazing. It's awesome. And it looks like you're doing great too. So good for you. All right. So back to Intuit. We have it's a bullish gap and go, right? So we have these 3 bearish candles. We had earnings, 823 after. Okay. So this is an earnings gap. So it looks like, so they crushed. Wow. Earnings, the estimated was 23 cents and they over $1. That's great. So yeah, nice gap. I'm definitely going to put that on my, look at your news ticker about Intuit. Oppenheimer, raise price target. Yep. Okay. Yep. So Deutsche Bank. Yep. So a couple of analysts are raising their targets on Intuit based on, so this is a nice gap. Yeah. So I'm going to move that over. I'm going to add that to my other screen here. I do like that gap. We do have I'm going to add a couple lines here. $493.98. Of course, it's going to move as soon as the market opens, but we can always adjust. All right. So Intuit did gap up. So keep an eye on that. All right. So market just went. We'll take a look at AT&T in a second. I got to sign off of YouTube. I want to thank everyone out there in YouTube land, as DJ Dan likes to call it. Thank you for joining us this morning. If you want to join a great group of traders, a great community, come on over to reallifetrading.com. We'd love to have you.